All right, welcome to News 6 Extra. I'm Christopher Heath. It's Friday, November the 7th. We've made it. We are weekend adjacent. It's almost there. You can feel it. Kathleen, you can feel the weekend has descended upon us. It's here.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
We're ready for it.
I woke up feeling the weekend just right there, you know?
I woke up feeling the cheesiest. Yes, I did too. I'm excited about this. We have fantastic weather. It's gotten a little bit warmer than it was last weekend, but fantastic weather for the weekend.
Yep.
So good things planned. Now I have a question for you. Do you always use a serif font on these scripts? I'm just looking at it and I just can't remember.
No, I usually use Times like New something or another.
Times New Roman, yeah, that's a serif font.
Yeah, that's usually what I use.
Okay.
Yes.
I am a big fan of Times New Roman, and I was looking at this and I'm like, because everybody always uses the default, which is usually a sans serif font. But this is good work. Good work.
Oh, well, I'm glad.
Big fan of the serif font. Dave Nazario,
glad.
do you want to join us and discuss your favorite font within the cornucopia of acceptable fonts in the Microsoft universe?
I gotta say, I've taken a liking to the Gotham style font we use here at News 6, but I'm also a big fan of Times New Roman. You can't go wrong with that. It's one of the more professional fonts you could use for pretty much any type of occasion.
Now, does anyone want to discuss why we call it a serif font?
Ooh, I'm not sure, huh?
Sure, go for it.
So it's because it has feet. There's a little feet on it, like a surf.
Oh.
Get it? And those that don't have little feet are sans serif. That's what the word comes from.
Ah,
you know, I was
that makes
just
a lot of
looking at
sense.
it. Okay, I was just looking at it. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. Okay.
So anyway, big fan of Times New Roman, big fan of serif fonts, and big fan of Kathleen's wonderful print selection. So anyway.
Thank you.
There it is. We've started off on such a high note here. All right, Dave, I do have to ask you because we've been spoiled by fantastic weather this whole week, but I was watching Candace this morning, and it looks as if this weekend, especially Sunday, could get a little sketchy.
Yep, there's that classic give and take with Mother Nature once again. We've got a pretty solid next week, especially our Veterans Day. Big shout out to our service members out there. From a fellow service member myself. Before we can get to all that solid weather, though, let me take you over to the water vapor satellite so we can set the stage. So we've got a little bit of additional moisture, some extra humidity and clouds out there, all thanks to this weak leftover disturbance that's percolating in the Gulf. Not to worry, obviously you could tell there's really nothing organized about it. It's just a pocket of mid to upper level moisture that's going to continue to work through central Florida, help to drive up our rain chances, particularly for our southern counties throughout the day today. And then on the backside of it, we've got a nice little plume of dry air. But then back up towards the northwest of all that, this is the big kahuna, is what I'm calling it. That's the one that's going to sweep across the rest of the United States, bring itself all the way as far south as the upper Gulf Coast and through the state of Florida. But before we can get there, probably going to have that classic cold versus warm collision driving up our severe weather potential. Let me go ahead and get us over to that. This is the radar this afternoon. Nothing really happening over our neighborhood. I have a zoomed out just so we could also capture a little bit of the rains that are occurring off our east coast. And this is using the Melbourne radar, so we can't see what's happening off the west and southwest coast of Florida. But I'd be willing to bet there's some green returns lurking in the background out in that direction as well. When you look at our winds, notice across the peninsula, they're pretty stagnant. They're really just not doing a whole lot. We don't have a lot of the moving arrows over the peninsula. And that's a result of being what I like to call in-between systems. We had one that's off into the West Atlantic now, and then you could see that southerly flow, the arrows moving towards the north from the Gulf up through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, driving the severe weather threat that's going to be occurring for our friends in Kentucky, Tennessee, and the northern portions of those same mentioned states throughout the day today. And then as Chris already alluded to, we are a little warmer outside. We're seeing a bit of that flow around high pressure driving up that tropical moist moist air from our south across the peninsula and then back into the southeast United States. And when you take a look at where we were 24 hours ago, we are definitely anywhere between 3 to almost 8 degrees warmer than we were yesterday. So that warming trend is going to continue. Forecast highs for the day today, leveling out somewhere in the mid 80s for many of us. So when it comes to planning your Friday, good news for a large majority of us. We do have that warming trend continuing, so it should be fairly comfortable for t-shirt and short style weather for much of the day today. A few of us may need the umbrella handy, but it will particularly be our southern counties. So if you're somewhere anywhere from Polk, Osceola, maybe the southern bases of Sumter, Lake County, Orange County, and then especially the bottom half of Brevard, that's where I think we'll have some fast-moving showers later on through the afternoon and early evening hours of today. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like using our future clouds and rain with our in-house model here. So this is starting at lunchtime today, and as we work our way through the rest of the afternoon, notice a little bit of a weak sea breeze tries to pop up, and the model shows something trying to get its act together in portions of Brevard and eastern Orange County. I think we're kind of missing the mark a little bit for stuff that could be working its way through Polk and Osceola. That's just my opinion. Then we flush everything out, make way for some of that dry air tomorrow, and the model has really backed off on just how much rain we may see tomorrow afternoon. Earlier renditions of not only this model, but other thunderstorm models we use were showing a higher chance of some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon into the evening, but I think we'll be far too dry, still a little bit too stable. We won't have that trigger mechanism that's going to be coming through us as we go through the day on Sunday. Notice that's when we get that definitive line of showers and thunderstorms, and we've got a low-end severe risk for some of our viewing area as well. And the main reason is when you take a look at these high temperatures, we're going to start getting back up into the upper 80s before this system arrives. And that just not only shows how much warmth we have coming in from the south, but just how strong this approaching cold front is. You could usually tell the depth of how cold it's going to get based on how warm it gets before the front actually slides through. This is that severe weather risk courtesy of Storm Prediction Center. You could see our neighbors up north are also going to be bathed in that isolated threat for strong storms, and then the eastern and northern portions of our viewing area are also under the threshold, and this is why. When I zoom you out using this graphic I've titled Cold versus Warm, that big old extension of the greens, yellows, and reds digging in from over the Great Plains down as far south as us here in Florida, that's the jet stream coming down. That's our trigger. And as all those strong winds out ahead of where that trough is positioned sucks in a bunch of warmth here, notice the colors are different inside the trough. That's the cold air coming in to bully the warmth out of the way. And it's in that collision point where you tend to get some strong thunderstorms. So as I like to say, or as we all like to say, 'tis the season, and we're not necessarily talking holidays, hurricanes, or Christmas season. We're talking severe weather season. But then our temperatures will tumble. You take a look at the temperature trend, and I have to adjust the values here, but notice you don't even see the high temps for Monday and Tuesday. That's how low they are. We're expecting it to drop into the low 70s, upper 60s for a lot of us, and it is going to get windy as well, so that wind chill factor will finally make its return here in Central Florida since about February or March earlier of this calendar year. It goes to show how long it's been since we've had cold temperatures, let alone a wind chill here in the state of Florida. This is a sight for sore eyes. I'm very thankful for this. I can comfortably say I think hurricane season is pretty much done. Doesn't officially conclude until November 30th, but we're not tracking any prominent signals out there, nor am I expecting our next named storm, Nestor, to make an appearance anytime soon. So we'll close out with your 7-day forecast. See the slight rain chances for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think we might want to bump Saturday down just a little bit, maybe put it back to about 20%. Sunday, we could probably go a little higher than 30%, and then look at that week ahead. Highs in the upper 60s and low 70s all across the board, moving towards the midsections of November.
All right, David, I appreciate it. That is a fantastic forecast. I know you guys will be keeping an eye on Sunday evening, especially for our kind of northern counties as that system moves through it, in case we do have some severe weather breakout. So thank you, sir. All right. Well, we are now in day 39 of the government shutdown. Yep, 39 days. Federal government just not doing anything. 39 days, government shut down. U.S. House has not gavelled in to have a session since September. So, 435 members of the United States House of Representatives, Article 1 branch, the People's House, not even there. Just not doing anything. So that's one. Senate is still trying to figure out what to do, but not much traction there. Now, all of that is disheartening because this is the longest shutdown in U.S. history, and we are seeing the ripple effects just accelerate. We already talked about all of the workers who have either been furloughed, sent home, and said, you're not getting paid and don't come to work. And then the others that have been told you're not getting paid and you need to come to work. That is the Federal Aviation Administration, Air Traffic Controllers, TSA. And under that, well, some of them have had to call in sick. They've had things come up. They're getting overworked and they're obviously not getting paid. So, it's causing, problems. And the airlines are doing the best to try and stay on schedule. But we are now to the point where the FAA is going to do some involuntary reductions in air traffic. And starting today, it is a 4% reduction in air traffic, and it will build over the next several days until we get to a 10% reduction in air traffic at 40 airports. 4 of those 40 airports are here in the state of Florida. I'm talking about Orlando International Airport, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, and then, of course, Miami. Orlando is the busiest airport in the state of Florida. It's the 9th busiest airport in the United States. And so when we finally get to that 10% reduction in flights, that's going to be something like 100 to about 110 flights a day, commercial flights, that will just not be operating in Orlando. That's a huge number. So because of all of that, people are now starting to ask, should I reconsider my plans? Should I move trips around? What happens if I fly in and then I can't get the flight out for a couple of days? It snowballs itself. Bradley Blackburn has our story here on exactly what travelers are now confronting as the shutdown enters its 40th day.
Frustration and concern are growing at major airports across the country as flight cuts went into effect amid the government shutdown.
I'm praying that they get this together because this is horrible.
I normally get here about 2 hours earlier, but due to everything that was going on, I just figured to get here about 4 hours earlier.
The FAA ordered the flight reductions at 40 high-volume travel hubs, 4% Friday, ramping up to 10% next week. The cuts are in response to staffing shortages among air traffic controllers.
My number one job is safety.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy told CBS News he made the decision after consulting with the FAA safety team.
We saw controllers working 6 days a week, 10-hour days. That pressure on the controllers were giving us numbers that were not troubling, but were concerning. And so my job is to be preemptive.
The Air Traffic Controllers Union says the nation didn't have enough controllers before the shutdown. Now, many controllers are calling out sick, some even quitting after having gone weeks without pay and receiving a second $0 pay stub Thursday.
Every day that this drags on, it's introducing new problems because these are real people with real lives, and every American can empathize with. If you don't pay anybody, there's going to be issues ahead.
On Capitol Hill, Senate Republicans are planning a different approach to resolve the political stalemate. Sources tell CBS News the GOP strategy involves voting on the House funding bill with a goal of amending it in an effort to sway moderate Democrats and end the impasse. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
I could be wrong here. I haven't gone over my Senate parliamentary procedure in quite a while. I do believe, though, if the Senate does amend the bill that was sent to them by the House, it would have to now go back to the House. And the Speaker of the House has not called them into session again since September. So you would have to have the House come back to D.C. to take up the amended Senate version, and then they could either amend it and send it back to the Senate again, or they could pass it as was handed to them by the Senate, and then it could go to the president for his signature. So maybe they pass it with an amendment in place, and then we just have to now wait for the House to take it up and either take it or not, and then back to the Senate. Who knows? Yeah. Anywho, back here in Florida, one of the laws that was passed by our legislative branch was a new crackdown on super speeders. These are people who are going well over the speed limit, endangering lives. And it's now been quite a while this law has been on the books. And Catherine Silver's been doing some fantastic reporting on its enforcement up and down I-4. And she put together kind of a look at exactly what we're seeing from it and some of the speeders that have been caught. Here it is.
A crackdown on super speeders in Florida has led to hundreds of arrests, and this law has only been in effect for 4 months. I'm Catherine Silver in Orange County. We started following all of these cases in July. We've shown you dash cam video and driver after driver booked and sent to jail. Now we have new numbers to share. From high speeds to handcuffs. Florida's super speeders caught driving dangerously fast can end up serving jail time or facing fines. Just this week, 2 more drivers in Seminole County were stopped going 100 or more. One in the I-4 express lanes with no insurance, no registration, no seatbelt, and another on the 417 with no license.
This honestly has been happening almost every other night.
The numbers have been adding up. In Seminole County, deputies have arrested 43 drivers so far. 38 of those were clocked going 100 or more. The Orange County Sheriff's Office shared this video when their deputies reached 101 arrests. And at some of those stops, there were children in the car.
8-month-old is in a car seat with no straps.
At 103 and a 45.
We wanted to see where some of these cases have actually ended up. We've seen some drivers bond out right after they're booked and just pay a fine. This driver in Seminole County is one of the first to actually be sentenced to multiple days in jail. We also reached out to the state attorney's office for Seminole and Brevard counties. Of the 105 cases they've received, 23 cases are being prosecuted right now with misdemeanor charges officially filed. 68 are under review for formal charges.
You're under arrest.
The maximum jail sentence for a first-time offense is 30 days.
It's not just the jail time, it's the cost. We can impound the vehicles for 30 days, and that is your fee to pay.
So what happens to my vehicle?
I'm going to tow it. A second offense can land a driver up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. In Orange County, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
Of course, we'll have to wait and see if the super speeder law has the desired effect, which is to correct the behavior. You raise the penalties and you raise the costs of speeding. The idea is that people will maybe take their foot off the gas. I know coming into work this morning, I was coming in at 4 a.m. today, and I was on the 408, and a motorcycle passed me, and I'm not 100% sure how fast he was going. I was doing 65 with a posted speed limit, and he flew past me going well over that. So, anywho. All right. Stay with us. On the other side of this, we'll talk autonomous vehicles. We'll also discuss some things to do over the weekend and toys. It's on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back to News 6 Extra. I am Christopher Heath. So if you've bought a new car in the last several years, you realize the standard safety features are getting better by the day. I mean, you have everything from lane assist to active cruise control to active braking, all these things where we're turning over a lot of the safety features to automation. The computer can react and sense things far faster than we can. Blind spot detection is something that I've gotten so accustomed to. You turn on the blinker and it lets you know, is there something next to you? Is there, a car about to pass you, maybe coming through your blind spot? Backup cameras, all of that. That is still very, very basic level when we think about where vehicles are ultimately headed, and that is autonomous vehicles. If you want to make cars safer, well, we've done a lot. We've got crumple zones, you've got airbags, you've got all the safety features I mentioned, from, anti-lock braking to, automatic braking. But if you could remove the human element, if you could get you and I out of the equation, vehicles would become much safer because the computers are going to be able to sense things and do things that are going to be faster than we can process them. They're going to take in information faster than we can ever process it. They're going to be able to see things that we can't, and avoid some of the bad habits we have. Distracted driving, maybe driving angry. They're not going to do that, and we're not there yet, but we're getting closer by the day. The conference in town here in Central Florida started on Wednesday. Today's the final day of it, looking at autonomous vehicles. And some of the people sponsoring, some of the groups sponsoring it are some of the agencies and organizations that are seeing where this is all headed. Angie Casada went down and checked it out for us.
Doors closing. After 3 days of testing, talking, and taking autonomous rides, the FAV Summit is wrapping up at Champions Gate. And organizers say Florida is ready to shift from pilot projects to full-scale deployments. Former state senator Jeff Brandes knows firsthand the potential.
The 23 million residents and 150 million tourists make Florida the perfect state for the deployment of these technologies. That, and it doesn't snow, right? So snow is a hard problem for this technology. And so we're able to kind of cheat that hard problem by deploying in Florida. So whether it be electric vertical takeoff and landing, which we're talking about, or self-driving vehicles, Florida is going to be the key hub for that conversation.
From self-driving shuttles and delivery vehicles to electric rides and connected road tech, companies from around the country showcased how automation can make communities safer, faster, and more accessible. Yeah, guys, check this out. There's no hands on the wheel. We're actually riding in one of the autonomous shuttles showcased here at the summit, and leaders say this is the goal: technology that blends into everyday life, so your morning commute could look a lot more like this.
We feel like seeing is believing. We want people to experience the future of public transportation, being able to sit in our car, listen to this great welcome music, experience a static ride. That's going to really put people over the edge to understand what we're trying to envision.
The summit focused on getting these ideas off the expo floor and onto Florida roads. The Florida Policy Project and Central Florida Expressway Authority say the next step is moving from small pilots to deployments people can use daily. Organizers say they expect new projects, more test sites, and more autonomous vehicles in Central Florida in the next year. In Orlando, Angie Casada, News 6.
I got to tell you, Kathleen, if you could hit a button like ordering an Uber, and an autonomous vehicle could show up at your house, how tempting would it be to have that vehicle show up and give your dog a ride? Dogs would love this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially if there's a way to roll down the window.
Yes.
Let them stick their heads out. Oh, Lucy would love it.
There's a day coming when you're going to be driving down the road and you're going to look over and there's going to be a car with like 5 dogs in it, just living their best life, nobody driving. And you're like, we've made it. We've made it.
Right. That's what I always say when I take Lucy on a car ride and she has her head partially, sticking out the window. I'm like, you're just living your best life, It's got to be just like sensory overload. They're getting all those smells just coming out. It's like, wonderful. It's wonderful. We can do that for dogs. Although I'm old enough to say we were promised flying cars. Where's that? Well,
where's the flying cars?
That is true. That is true. Sometimes when I'm stuck in traffic, I just think, we really need those flying cars.
But then again, we can barely handle operating vehicles in the plane of existence we're at. Put it into 365 degrees of options, and you're going to have, I don't know. I don't trust Florida drivers on roads. Suddenly you make them airborne and give them options. This could be bad.
Right. There's that part of it. Yes.
Yes. There's the death and destruction, but other than that, it's fine. All right. Okay, it is Friday, which means now we get to check in with meteorologist Michelle Morgan and these 6 things to do. Here's Michelle.
I'm meteorologist Michelle Morgan. Looking for something fun to do this weekend? Well, warmer weather is on the way, and there are great community events happening this weekend. First up, the Autism Speaks and Power Walk and 5K Run at Cranes Roost Park will be happening this Sunday, celebrating community and inclusion. I spoke with the Community Engagement Manager, Kaileen Almodovar, about what you can expect.
So by coming together, we are showing support to our Central Florida autistic community by bringing awareness and as well just having a good day and share our experiences. Just like me, I'm an autism mom, and I think that this kind of events is where I feel heard and I feel seen.
It starts at 9 a.m. In Leesburg, the Veterans Day Parade rolls through this Saturday at 11 a.m. on Main Street. Come out with your heartfelt gratitude and big community pride, and don't forget to stay hydrated. This weekend through November 11th, veterans and active military members get free admission to the Central Florida Zoo. The Orlando Japan Festival is this Sunday from 11 a.m. through 5 at Kissimmee Lakefront Park. Enjoy music, dance, delicious food, and free admission and parking. The Space Coast Art Festival hits the Avenue Vieira this weekend, Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 10 to 4. Enjoy unique art, family-friendly fun, free admission, and parking. Join the community event Saturday at Cross Life Church in Oviedo starting at 9. There will be food, games, live entertainment, and 250 plus vendors. And if you have something fun happening in your town, let me know. I've been getting so many fun events from viewers just like you. Just head over to clickorlando.com or a new 6 app. Just click Contact Us.
There's Michelle Morgan. She didn't even know that. See? She's hanging out in the background, and she's on the program. Oh, there she is. Now she's paying attention. All right, Kathleen. We will wrap up our Friday as we always do, where I quiz you about what did I tell you this week? What did you learn? No, it doesn't. None of that matters. What are you doing this weekend? You got good fun plans? Something good?
Not really. I mean, I kind of want to be outdoors this weekend because it seems like it's going to be, nice. So maybe I'll go for a walk or go out to the coast or something. Just kind of feeling being outside to decompress,
The weather's good. It's not too cold, not too warm. Good time to be out. And I think the coast is not a bad idea. I'm trying to think of the last time I loaded the family in the car and we headed out. We may do that. That is a good, solid idea. We'll tell Michelle to add that as number 7 to her list of things to do.
Right.
But I guess that's always a thing to do, is to go out to the coast. So,
That's true. But
I will be doing that, and I will be endeavoring to organize my garage. I started to put away Halloween last weekend, got it done, and in doing so, realized there's a lot more I need to do out there. So I may just hunker down for like an afternoon and try and wrestle that garage into compliance. We'll see.
Oh gosh. Is it time to get out the Christmas decorations or still holding off on that?
The way we try and do it at the Heath household is day after Thanksgiving, Christmas goes up. But until then, Tom Turkey is very safe. I do have a big inflatable turkey that's going to go in the front yard. I found him over the weekend. That was part of going into the garage on the weekend, was to find the turkey, get him out there. So that's in the works. Turkey will be put out to let everyone know what time of year it is. And then come the day after Thanksgiving, turkey goes away and Christmas tree goes up.
That's how it is. That's how it is at my place as well.
And then maybe a week or two after that, depending on how I'm feeling, up on the ladder to put Christmas lights up. So we'll see. That's the general plan.
Okay.
That latter one is usually accompanied by my wife quizzing me about. She's like, "Are you drinking Miller Lite?" And I'm like, "No. Why would I be doing that?" And she's like, "You've been out here in the garage for quite a while." And I'm like, "Oh, yes. Well, sneaky." So yes. Hopefully she doesn't watch this.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Josie, she already knows. She knows. She's like, "Oh, taking you 9 hours to clean that garage, huh?"
Yeah, I was slowing you down.
Got that right. All righty, Kathleen, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you, as always, for the fine serif font. It is amazing.
Yes.
Thank you to David Nazario for the wonderful weather. And, of course, thank you for watching. We'll, of course, break news all the time on clickorlando.com. And we'll be on air starting at 4 o'clock today with the very latest on the beginning of the slowdown in air traffic out at Orlando International Airport, as well as, a former now city council member contesting some election results. We'll have that coming up for you at 4 o'clock. Otherwise, I will see you back here on Monday at 12:30. Have a fantastic and safe weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.